The Great Pyramid, mostly that's the one that's been studied. We actually haven't done a whole lot of studying on the other pyramids. In fact, we've not even cleared off the bases of some of the other pyramids up at Giza. It's crazy. I mean, there's giant underground networks of tunnels underneath Saqqara, I think underneath Giza, all over Egypt. The Sphinx is not like a built thing, like they carved down into the ground and then they shaped it out of bedrock.
Beneath the sands of the Giza Plateau lies the Osiris Shaft, a mysterious underground structure that baffles archaeologists and captivates history enthusiasts.
They did discover that somewhere underneath the area of the front paws, there was a hollow area.
This subterranean marvel, with its intricate architecture and profound symbols, offers glimpses into ancient Egyptian religious and ceremonial practices. The mysteries of the Osiris Shaft invite us to explore its true purpose and the advanced knowledge behind its construction. Known since the late 19th century, the Osiris Shaft initially did not attract much attention from early explorers and Egyptologists, who focused more on the prominent features like the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. As a less conspicuous feature, it remained largely unexplored until the late 20th century, when systematic exploration began.
So we do know the Sphinx does have hollow areas. It's just the government doesn't want to admit that that's the case.
The turning point came with the work led by the renowned Egyptologist Zahi Hawass in the 1990s. Under his direction, comprehensive exploration of the shaft was undertaken, which unveiled its complex architecture and potential significance in understanding Egyptian religious practices.
The Sphinx is hidden underneath the Sphinx. So can you give us permission to drill?
The exploration of the Osiris Shaft involved the challenging task of removing water that had accumulated in the lower levels, especially the third level, which was partially submerged.
That the water began to rise in front of the Sphinx temple outside.
Modern pumping equipment was employed to drain the water, allowing archaeologists access to the shaft's deepest parts. The detailed examination of the shaft's architecture revealed the engineering skills of ancient Egyptians. It consists of 3 levels, each serving a different purpose, with the lowest level housing a large stone sarcophagus in a chamber filled with water, suggesting a symbolic representation of the underworld. The second level contained 6 burial shafts, though they were found empty, leading to speculation about their original use. This finding was significant in understanding burial practices and the possible ceremonial use of the shaft. Although largely devoid of inscriptions that could provide direct information about its creators or construction dates, the excavation unearthed several artifacts, including pottery shards and fragments of stone vessels, offering some clues about the shaft's age and use. Dating the Osiris Shaft has been challenging due to the lack of inscriptions and the mixed nature of the artifacts found within. However, based on the style of pottery and other items, as well as architectural features, archaeologists suggest that the shaft might date from the New Kingdom period, with some elements possibly being older or reused from earlier periods. The Osiris Shaft, a mysterious and elaborate underground complex, has sparked intense scholarly debate and speculation due to its unique architectural features and symbolic elements.
It's a subterranean complex, so it's a very complicated, incredibly enigmatic place.
Scholars and archaeologists have proposed various theories about its purpose, drawing on evidence from Egyptian mythology, religious practices, and archaeological findings. These theories primarily revolve around the shaft's connection to the cult of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, death, and rebirth, and its potential use in ancient ceremonial practices. Osiris, one of the most important gods in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, symbolizes the cycle of death and rebirth. The water-filled chamber at the bottom of the Osiris Shaft is believed to symbolize the underworld, or the primordial waters of Nun, from which all life emerged according to Egyptian cosmology. This chamber, especially with its central stone sarcophagus, could represent the tomb of Osiris and the place of his resurrection. The presence of a large stone-carved sarcophagus in the deepest chamber is seen as a direct reference to Osiris's burial. Although empty, this sarcophagus serves as a powerful symbol of Osiris's death and his role in the afterlife, potentially used in rituals emulating his resurrection. One prevalent theory is that the Osiris Shaft was used for initiation rites into the mysteries of Osiris. These rites would have been designed to impart secret knowledge and spiritual rebirth to initiates, mirroring the death and resurrection of Osiris. The descent through the shaft's levels could symbolize the initiate's journey through death to enlightenment and rebirth, with each level representing a stage of spiritual transformation. The shaft may have also been used for rituals celebrating the cyclical nature of life and death, reflecting the agricultural significance of the Nile's flooding and the seasonal growth cycles associated with Osiris. Such rituals could involve the symbolic planting of seeds, water libations, and recitations of hymns and prayers, aiming to ensure the regeneration of life and the fertility of the land. Another speculation ties the Osiris Shaft to ancient Egyptian astronomy, particularly the belief in the stars as the destination of the soul in the afterlife. The orientation and structure of the shaft might have had astronomical significance, aligning with specific stars or constellations believed to be associated with Osiris and the afterlife. While direct archaeological evidence supporting these theories is limited, the design of the Osiris Shaft and the artifacts found within it offer indirect clues. The careful construction of the shaft, the choice of its location near the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, and the selection of objects placed in the smaller chambers suggest a deliberate attempt to create a sacred space imbued with religious and symbolic meanings. Textual evidence from ancient Egyptian religious texts, such as the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead, which contain references to the afterlife and the journey of the soul, provides a contextual backdrop for interpreting the Osiris Shaft. These texts describe the landscape of the afterlife, including the presence of water, boats, and the significance of the sarcophagus, all of which find echoes in the physical structure of the Osiris Shaft. The Osiris Shaft showcases the architectural ingenuity of ancient Egyptian civilization, constructed deep within the limestone bedrock and organized into 3 distinct levels connected by vertical shafts. This site blends the practical with the mystical. Let's explore the architecture and structure of the Osiris Shaft, examining each level's design, construction, and potential significance. The engineering and architectural design of the Osiris Shaft demonstrate advanced planning and knowledge of subterranean construction techniques. The entrance is a rectangular opening, a deliberate design choice marking the beginning of a descent into the earth.
That's the access to the underground area of the Sphinx. The government put it there on purpose.
This opening leads directly to a vertical shaft carved straight down into the limestone, requiring precise control to maintain the shaft's integrity and direction. The shaft descends approximately 10 meters to the first level. The construction of this shaft involved removing tons of limestone using tools made from harder stones, copper, and possibly bronze, as well as ropes and wooden scaffolding for debris removal. The initial chamber at this level is relatively modest in size and devoid of elaborate decorations or significant artifacts. Its simplicity suggests it may have served as an antechamber or a preparatory space for deeper levels, possibly intended for purification or other preliminary rites. A second vertical shaft leads from the first level down an additional 20 meters, indicating a continuation of the journey into the depths. This shaft's construction would have been even more challenging due to the depth and the need to ensure ventilation and structural stability. This more extensive chamber houses 6 burial shafts, which were found empty, hinting at possible looting or a symbolic use. The creation of these shafts within the chamber's floor showcases a complex understanding of space utilization and the cultural importance of burial practices. The empty burial shafts might have been intended for actual interments or served a ceremonial purpose, perhaps symbolizing the passage to the afterlife. Their presence speaks to the shaft's potential role in funerary rites or as a cenotaph. The third and deepest level is accessed via another shaft from the second level, descending around 30 meters below the surface. This final descent marks the culmination of the journey into the underworld, mirroring the mythological descent of Osiris. Dominated by a large stone sarcophagus, this chamber is a dramatic representation of the tomb of Osiris. The partial filling of this chamber with water from the natural aquifer links the Osiris Shaft to the mythological themes of rebirth and purification. Water, a symbol of life and regeneration, would have held profound religious significance, enhancing the chamber's sanctity as a representation of Osiris's tomb. Surrounding the central sarcophagus are smaller chambers that contained mummified remains and artifacts. Graham Hancock, a British author known for his unconventional theories about ancient civilizations, has posited several intriguing ideas regarding the Osiris Shaft and the broader context of ancient Egyptian monuments.
Is there not a hidden chamber as well?
In fact, there is a whole underworld at Giza. This is beginning to be recognized.
Hancock's work, which spans several books including Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, often challenges the orthodox archaeological understanding of history. His theories, while controversial among mainstream scholars, have sparked considerable interest and debate among the public and alternative researchers.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
A central theme in his work is the hypothesis of a lost advanced civilization that predates known history. He suggests that this civilization possessed sophisticated knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics, which was passed down to later cultures, including the ancient Egyptians.
But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy.
He suggests these events led to significant rises in sea levels and could have been responsible for the demise of the advanced civilization he hypothesizes. The Osiris Shaft's lower levels being filled with water could be interpreted within Hancock's framework as symbolic or actual evidence of these cataclysmic events. He might view the water in the shaft as a deliberate reference to the ancient floods and the civilization's knowledge of these cataclysmic events.
Beneath the Giza Plateau, near the Great Sphinx and pyramids, lies a mysterious structure that may reshape our understanding of ancient Egypt. Known as the Osiris Shaft, this subterranean complex challenges conventional timelines. Could it predate the pyramids? And what was its true purpose? Recent discoveries and a groundbreaking dating method have led Egyptologists to rethink what they thought they knew about this ancient civilization. The Osiris Shaft descends 35 meters into the bedrock beneath the causeway leading to the Sphinx. It comprises multiple levels, with the lowest chamber housing a granite sarcophagus surrounded by water. This chamber is sometimes referred to as the Tomb of Osiris. But what exactly was this structure intended for? Its purpose remains shrouded in mystery, with no clear answers in sight. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Osiris Shaft is the unusual material used in one of the sarcophagi. Egyptologists discovered a stone unlike anything previously found in Egypt. How did it end up here, deep in the bedrock? Even stranger, the structure itself seems to have been designed without easy access in mind. There are no steps or ladders leading down to its depths. The ones installed now were placed there by modern archaeologists, suggesting that the ancient builders had no intention of facilitating frequent visits. The logistics of moving the massive sarcophagi, some weighing up to 40 tons, further deepen the mystery. How were they lowered with such precision into the shaft, which itself was not designed for easy entry or exit? The precision required to lower these gigantic objects without error suggests a technological ability that we do not fully understand. One sarcophagus found on the second level was particularly remarkable. It was covered in a thin film of bitumen, with a metallic coating beneath it. This metal, containing elements like lead and zinc, is puzzling. Why use a metallic coating inside a sarcophagus? Lead, in particular, raises questions, as it is known today for its use in radiation shielding. Could the ancient Egyptians have been aware of this? Moreover, measurements showed unusually high levels of gamma radiation inside the sarcophagus, further hinting at a function beyond burial. The method used to date one of these sarcophagi, called optical thermoluminescence, measures the last time the stone was exposed to light. The results suggested a date as far back as 3,350 BCE, centuries before the accepted construction dates of the pyramids. This implies that the Osiris Shaft could predate the pyramids and the earliest dynasties of Egypt. What's even more curious is the material of one sarcophagus, dacite, an igneous rock not found anywhere in Egypt. In fact, after consulting with geologists, it was confirmed that there are no significant dacite deposits in Africa large enough to produce a sarcophagus of this size. This means the stone was transported from outside the continent, perhaps from Europe or the Black Sea. The logistics of transporting a 40-ton block of stone across seas and deserts remains a mystery. Why didn't the builders use locally sourced granite or basalt, which would have been far easier to acquire? This discovery challenges long-standing views on ancient Egypt's chronology. The dating method used reveals a time well before the pyramids, offering a glimpse into a distant past. Could the Osiris Shaft represent the work of a forgotten civilization, one whose achievements have been lost to time? As we explore the depths of the shaft, more questions emerge. Was the shaft's design deliberate, meant to preserve the dead using unknown methods? Could the high radiation levels within the sarcophagi have played a role in ancient preservation techniques? The builders of this structure may have known things we have yet to uncover. As archaeologists delve deeper into the Osiris Shaft, they challenge established notions of ancient Egypt. On the third and deepest level, a stone island surrounded by water holds yet another granite sarcophagus. This time, the sarcophagus is made of granite, a material more common in Egyptian structures. However, its location deep underground and surrounded by water raises further questions. This sarcophagus dates to around 2370 BCE, placing it in the Old or Middle Kingdom. Interestingly, the design of the third level seems to be a later addition to the shaft, suggesting the site may have been used and modified over centuries. If true, this means the Osiris Shaft was considered important long before the time of the pyramids. One of the most intriguing features of the third level is the water system. A meticulously shaped canal surrounds the chamber, and the water level appears to be maintained at a precise depth. How did the builders engineer such a system over 100 feet underground? The bedrock in this area is solid, making natural water leaks unlikely. This suggests that the builders tapped into a hidden water source, possibly through an underground channel or spring. At the Osirian, another ancient Egyptian site, similar subterranean water channels have been discovered, indicating that the ancient builders had advanced knowledge of hydroengineering. Water was often seen as a source of life and regeneration, and its presence in the Osiris Shaft may have had symbolic significance in ancient rituals related to death and rebirth. This brings us to the connection between the shaft and Osiris, the Egyptian god of the dead and the underworld. According to myth, Osiris was resurrected in a sarcophagus placed on an island surrounded by water. The third level of the shaft closely mirrors this imagery. Could the builders have been trying to replicate the tomb of Osiris? Or was this part of a deeper religious practice? Oddly, the sarcophagi found in the Osiris Shaft are devoid of inscriptions, which is unusual for ancient Egyptian tombs. This absence of hieroglyphs has led some scholars to suggest that these sarcophagi were not intended for traditional burials, but served a different, perhaps secretive, purpose. Adding to the mystery, researchers detected significant levels of radiation inside the sarcophagi. Combined with the lead coating found on the second level, this suggests that the sarcophagi might have had an advanced preservative function, something we do not yet fully understand. If the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of radiation's effects on preservation, it would represent a technological leap far beyond what we currently attribute to their civilization. Beyond the physical mysteries, the Osiris Shaft raises important questions about the origins of Egyptian civilization. The dating of the second-level sarcophagus to as early as 3350 BCE points to a pre-dynastic origin, making the shaft one of the oldest structures in Egypt. As we continue to investigate the Osiris Shaft, the possibility of discovering hidden chambers, artifacts, or tunnels remains high. The Osiris Shaft is rewriting our understanding of ancient Egypt and perhaps even pointing to a forgotten chapter in human history.
Did you know about the mysterious Osiris Shaft hidden within the Giza Plateau? This fascinating archaeological site, often overshadowed by the grandeur of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, harbors secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization. Though known since the late 19th century, it remained largely ignored as explorers focused on more prominent monuments. But the Osiris Shaft has its own story, one that has gradually unfolded over time. It wasn't until the 1990s that the Osiris Shaft began to receive the attention it deserved, thanks to the efforts of Zahi Hawass, a name familiar to many.
He's documented the fact that Zahi's been enabling kind of secret expeditions digging and drilling around the Sphinx since the 1970s.
Under his direction, a thorough exploration was undertaken, revealing the shaft's complex architecture and its connection to ancient Egyptian religious thought. However, accessing the deepest parts of the Osiris Shaft wasn't easy. The team had to overcome the significant challenge of draining the water that had flooded its lower levels, particularly the third level, which was partially submerged.
The same story of a great flood, which brought a former age of the world to an end.
The effort required to bring in modern equipment and remove the water was immense, but it was crucial to unveiling the shaft's hidden secrets. The Osiris Shaft, with its 3 levels descending deep into the earth, turned out to be a remarkable puzzle of architecture, burial customs, and hidden treasures. The design itself is a marvel of ancient engineering, with each level serving a unique purpose. At the bottom, a large stone sarcophagus rests in a chamber partially filled with water, evoking the ancient Egyptian underworld. It's as if the Egyptians constructed their version of the afterlife deep within the Giza plateau. The second level, with its 6 empty burial shafts, adds to the mystery. Were they looted, or were they never intended to hold anything? This level offers insights into burial practices and rituals, though some aspects remain unclear. Despite the absence of inscriptions that could pinpoint who built the shaft and when, the artifacts discovered within, pottery shards, fragments of stone vessels, and other small items, suggest the Osiris Shaft dates back to the New Kingdom period. These artifacts provide valuable clues, helping researchers piece together the history of this incredible structure. One of the most poignant discoveries was the mummified remains found in the smaller chambers surrounding the central sarcophagus. These remains offer a rare glimpse into the lives of ancient Egyptians, revealing details about their diets, lifestyles, and perhaps even their deaths. Let's take a moment to talk about Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of the afterlife, death, and rebirth. According to mythology, Osiris was betrayed by his brother Set, leading to a story of death, dismemberment, and resurrection that reads like an ancient epic. His wife, Isis, reassembled him and brought him back to life, making Osiris a symbol of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The Osiris Shaft is thought to be a 3-dimensional tribute to this epic tale.
But over here we have the god Osiris from Egypt, remembered by the ancient Egyptians as a bringer of the gifts of civilization.
At the shaft's deepest point, there's a chamber filled with water, believed to represent the underworld. Standing before the large stone sarcophagus, which symbolizes Osiris's tomb, one can almost feel the connection to his journey through death and his role as ruler of the afterlife. But why was such a place built? One theory is that the Osiris Shaft served as a site for initiation rites, a kind of spiritual boot camp where participants underwent trials symbolizing death and rebirth, mirroring Osiris's experiences. These rites were believed to impart secret knowledge and bring about a spiritual transformation in the initiates. Some even speculate that the shaft's design was influenced by the stars, aligning with celestial bodies associated with Osiris and the afterlife. The shaft may have been a bridge between Earth and the heavens, representing the soul's journey after death. What's truly fascinating is how the structure of the Osiris Shaft and the artifacts found within echo ancient texts like the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead. These texts offer a window into the Egyptian view of the afterlife, complete with references to water, boats, and the importance of sarcophagi. The shaft can be seen as a stone-bound version of these ancient scrolls, a tangible connection to the beliefs and rituals of a long-lost civilization. Buried deep within the limestone bedrock, the Osiris Shaft is a 3-level labyrinth that masterfully combines practicality with a touch of the mystical. Let's explore what makes the architecture of the Osiris Shaft so intriguing. The design and construction of the shaft are nothing short of remarkable, showcasing the advanced planning and building techniques of the ancient Egyptians. The precision with which they carved out these chambers from the bedrock reflects their deep understanding of the earth beneath them. The entrance to the shaft is marked by a rectangular opening that leads to a vertical drop of about 10 meters. This isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a carefully crafted vertical shaft, requiring the removal of large amounts of limestone using tools made from harder stones and metals, ropes, and wooden scaffolding. This feat of engineering is a testament to the skills of the ancient builders. The first chamber encountered is modest, devoid of decorations or treasures. Its simplicity might have been intentional, serving as a waiting room or a space for preparing for something more profound deeper within, possibly purification rites. The real intrigue begins at the second level, where another shaft descends another 20 meters. This chamber is more complex, containing 6 empty burial shafts that have sparked much speculation. Were they looted, or were they always meant to be symbolic? These shafts could have been used for actual burials, or perhaps represented the journey to the afterlife. The third level is the most dramatic. Descending yet another shaft, now 30 meters below the surface, you find a large stone sarcophagus at the chamber's center. This chamber, partially filled with water from the natural aquifer, isn't just a burial place. It symbolizes Osiris's tomb, tying into themes of rebirth and purification in Egyptian mythology. Graham Hancock is a name that often sparks lively discussions about ancient civilizations. Known for his books like Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, Hancock's theories often challenge mainstream archaeological narratives. Let's consider how Hancock's unconventional ideas might offer new insights into the mysterious Osiris Shaft.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
Hancock's theories often revolve around the idea of a lost advanced civilization, one that predates known history and possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics.
I believe that it's worth considering the possibility of a remote common ancestor, which passed down key information that was inherited by later cultures.
Hancock might suggest that the Osiris Shaft, with its intricate design and possible astronomical alignments, serves as a time capsule from this sophisticated society. Could this ancient marvel be older than we think, or was it built with knowledge handed down from this enigmatic civilization? Hancock is also fascinated by how ancient structures align with the stars. While he hasn't specifically identified the Osiris Shaft in his star maps, it's easy to imagine it fitting into his broader theories. Could the shaft's orientation indicate a connection to celestial events or constellations associated with Osiris and themes of death and rebirth?
That is who Osiris is. His image is seen in the sky as the constellation of Orion.
Hancock's work suggests that many of Egypt's ancient monuments are part of a larger cosmic blueprint, with the Osiris Shaft possibly being another piece of that puzzle. One of the more dramatic aspects of Hancock's theories involves global cataclysms, particularly those caused by comet impacts during the Younger Dryas period, around 12,800 to 11,600 years ago. He proposes that these catastrophic events might have wiped out the advanced civilization he theorizes about. When we look at the water in the lower levels of the Osiris Shaft, Hancock might see it as more than just groundwater seepage. He could interpret it as a symbol of the world-altering floods his hypothesized civilization endured. Do you believe in the possibility of multiple ancient cataclysms?
In the late 19th century, as the field of Egyptology was still finding its footing, el-Ga'ab became the stage for a dramatic, albeit misguided, archaeological discovery. The year was 1898, and French archaeologist Émile Amélineau, armed with a controversial 5-year exclusive excavation permit, set his sights on uncovering the secrets buried beneath the sands.
Amélineau, a former theologian turned Egyptologist, was a figure shrouded in controversy. His methods were often criticized as rushed and lacking the meticulousness required for such a sensitive site. He arrived at el-Ga'ab with a preconceived notion, fueled by local traditions and a fervent belief in the historical reality of Egyptian myths. Locals, it was known, visited the site on Good Friday, collecting small artifacts they called playthings for their children. This, coupled with the site's obvious antiquity, led Amélineau to believe he was on the verge of a monumental discovery. On New Year's Day 1898, Amélineau declared he had found the tomb of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and the underworld. His evidence? A tomb complex filled with artifacts relating to Osiris, including a striking black basalt sculpture depicting the god lying in state, seemingly mummified and wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt. Amélineau's team, in their haste, cleared the tomb in a mere 12 days, discarding countless artifacts deemed incomplete or unworthy. This act of archaeological negligence would later be lamented by his successors. His 1899 publication, Le Tombeau d'Osiris, detailed his findings, complete with photographs, but was met with immediate skepticism from the Egyptological community. For example, the skull he believed to be that of Osiris was determined upon examination to belong to a woman. However, as stated by Gaston Maspero, who succeeded Victor Loret as director of the Egyptian Antiquities Service in 1899, the cerix of numerous early dynastic period pharaohs were found at the site. This included that of Djer, whom Amelinho misidentified as Osiris. From the publication Royal Tombs of the Earliest Dynasties by Flinders Petrie, 1901. Among these were found many small objects inscribed with the Ka name of Zer, and some with that of Zet, and also a piece of crystal, perhaps from a large bowl, inscribed in ink with the name of Mernate. The arrival of Flinders Petrie, a meticulous and pioneering archaeologist, marked a turning point. Granted access to the site after Amelinho's contract was revoked, Petrie meticulously re-excavated el Ga'ab, uncovering a wealth of artifacts that Amelinho had carelessly discarded. Petrie's work, published in detail, revealed the true nature of the site. Amelinho's Tomb of Osiris was definitively identified as the tomb of King Djer, a ruler of the First Dynasty. The tomb of Horus and Set was likewise reassigned to King Kasekemwi of the Second Dynasty. The basalt Osiris bed, a masterpiece of craftsmanship, was dated to the 13th dynasty, centuries after Djer's reign. Further to this, the name of King Kenja was found inscribed on the side. As stated in his publication, Abydos, Part 2, by Flinders Petrie, 1903, the name of the king was written in the usual signs, Nefer Ab, Ra, Ka Yuza, within a cartouche, and following this was Suten Rech, showing it to belong to a king hitherto unknown. Fortunately for history, Gaston Maspero, the new director of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, recognized the need for a more rigorous approach. Amelinho's exclusive contract was overturned, and Petrie was finally granted access to the site in 1899. Petrie's team painstakingly re-excavated el Ga'ab, meticulously documenting every find, no matter how small or fragmented. His work revealed the appalling extent of Amelinho's negligence. A wealth of artifacts, including an arm still adorned with gold and turquoise jewelry, had been overlooked and discarded. Petrie's meticulous approach yielded a far more accurate understanding of the site's true nature. Petrie's publications, The Royal Tombs of the First Dynasty and The Royal Tombs of the Earliest Dynasties, along with Abydos, Part 2, systematically dismantled Amelinho's claims. The tomb of Osiris was definitively identified as the tomb of King Djer, a powerful ruler of the First Dynasty. The supposed tomb of Horus and Set was correctly attributed to King Kasekemwi, a prominent figure of the Second Dynasty. While Amelinho's initial interpretation was demonstrably false, his work inadvertently shed light on a fascinating transformation that occurred at el Ga'ab during the Middle Kingdom 2055 to 1650 BCE. Djer's tomb, though originally built for a First Dynasty king, was repurposed and reimagined as a focal point for the worship of Osiris. This transformation is supported by a wealth of archaeological evidence. Numerous dedications to Osiris, dating from the 11th to the 13th dynasties, have been discovered at the site. Stelae, inscribed with prayers and offerings, were erected, marking the area as sacred ground. A grand staircase, the very one that Amelinho had misinterpreted as the staircase of the great god, was constructed during the 13th dynasty, further enhancing the processional nature of the site. The site's importance as a center for Osirian worship intensified during the Second Intermediate Period 1650 to 1550 BCE and continued into the Late Period, c. 664 to 332 BCE. Even during the period of Persian rule, and later into the Roman era, evidence suggests that offerings continued to be made at the site, a testament to the enduring power of the Osiris cult. Evidence of the importance of the site to pilgrims is written in Papyrus Bulaq 18, dating to the reign of Sobek-hotep II, where it states, His Majesty commanded that offerings be made to the gods of Abydos at every feast and to Osiris at every festival. The saga of Amelinho's Tomb of Osiris is a multifaceted tale, encompassing archaeological blunder, the evolving nature of historical interpretation, and the enduring power of myth. It serves as a cautionary reminder of the perils of approaching ancient sites with preconceived notions and the critical importance of rigorous methodology in archaeological practice. However, the story also reveals the fascinating ways in which ancient sites can be reinterpreted and imbued with new meaning across different historical periods. El Ga'ab, though initially misidentified, remains a site of immense historical and religious significance. Its sands continue to whisper tales of Egypt's earliest rulers, the enduring allure of the Osiris myth, and the complex, ever-shifting tapestry of belief, ritual, and power that shaped one of the world's most captivating civilizations. The Mother of Pots continues to yield its secrets, reminding us that the past is not a static entity, but a constantly evolving narrative, shaped by both the tangible remnants of antiquity and the interpretations we impose upon them.
For as long as humankind can remember, we've been irresistibly drawn to the unknown, to the exploration of places that hold the potential to rewrite the history we thought we knew. One such place is the Osiris Tunnel, located deep beneath the iconic Giza plateau in Egypt. While the pyramids and Sphinx may steal the spotlight, this underground labyrinth is equally deserving of our attention. The discovery of this tunnel system surprised many, not least because it seemed to appear out of nowhere, hidden beneath the sand and forgotten over millennia. It was as if the earth had suddenly opened a door to the past, offering us a glimpse into an age that continues to fascinate us, the age of the pharaohs. And it's not just any past, but a past that involves Osiris, one of the most significant gods of ancient Egypt. Osiris was the god of the afterlife, the underworld, and resurrection. The tunnel's central tomb, the so-called Tomb of Osiris, is a compelling artifact, a subterranean cenotaph that plunges 29 meters into the earth. The sight of this deep, water-filled shaft with its 4 pillars is eerily suggestive of the myth of Osiris's death and resurrection. It's a powerful reminder of the mythic grandeur that once pervaded ancient Egyptian culture. But the question that intrigues us all is, why was it built? Was it merely symbolic, a tribute to the great god Osiris? Or did it serve a more practical purpose? Perhaps even as a place of ritualistic communication with the gods? And then, there are those who believe that it might not have been the Egyptians at all who constructed this marvel. Could it be evidence of a long-lost civilization or extraterrestrial involvement? In the sands of Egypt, the Osiris Tunnel opens up more mysteries than it resolves, and yet its discovery has provided us with an incredible opportunity. What's truly striking about the Osiris Shaft is its complex architecture. The entrance itself is modest, an unassuming square opening on the Giza plateau, leading downward through a narrow corridor. But as we delve deeper, the engineering marvels of ancient Egyptians become manifest. The shaft is divided into 3 levels, each separated by a couple of dozen feet. The first 2 levels house 6 and 5 burial chambers, respectively, all of them intricately chiseled out of the bedrock. Not only that, but each burial chamber has been carved with an attention to detail that is truly astonishing. The smoothness of the walls, the precision of the angles, all speak of a level of craftsmanship that would be remarkable even today, let alone in an era before modern tools and technology. Descending further to the 3rd level, we find ourselves in a larger, more open space, partially filled with groundwater. Here lies an empty sarcophagus, its lid ajar, and curiously carved directly from the bedrock. The construction of this level particularly baffles researchers. The builders dug about 30 meters into the bedrock, right below the water table, which means they had to devise some way to keep the water out while they worked. How they achieved this remains a mystery, a testament to their problem-solving abilities and their remarkable understanding of the local geography. In the very design of the Osiris Shaft, we find a mirror reflecting the engineering ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. But beyond that, these subterranean chambers embody a sense of purpose and intent, a deliberate planning that lends credence to the belief that this was not merely a burial site, but perhaps something much more significant. It's these mysteries of construction, intertwined with the enigma of its purpose, that continue to draw researchers to the Osiris Shaft, ever eager to uncover its secrets. The nature of the Osiris Shaft has given rise to a myriad of theories and speculations. What was its true purpose? Who were supposed to be entombed in the shaft? The depth and complexity of the structure suggest a purpose of great importance. Some Egyptologists posit that it was a symbolic tomb for the god Osiris, given its name and the role that the god Osiris played in ancient Egyptian cosmology. However, alternative theories also abound, particularly in the realm of the speculative and the esoteric. The Osiris Shaft's deep connection with the ground and its location in the Giza Plateau has led some to propose that it might have been a conduit for harnessing telluric currents or earth energies as part of a wider network of such structures across ancient Egypt. Then there are theories that veer into the realms of the fantastical, suggesting an extraterrestrial influence. They argue that the complex and advanced engineering of the Osiris Shaft could only be possible with knowledge or technology from a non-human source. These theories often converge with ancient astronaut hypotheses, positing that early civilizations had contact with extraterrestrial beings who influenced their cultures and technologies. And finally, there are theories that the shaft might have served as a repository for sacred knowledge or treasures, waiting to be discovered. The empty sarcophagus in the third level, for instance, fuels speculation that it may have once held something of great significance. While these theories are intriguing and often capture public imagination, it's important to remember that evidence to conclusively support any of them is currently lacking. As such, the Osiris Shaft continues to be a mystery, its true purpose buried deep within the annals of time, waiting to be revealed. The Osiris Shaft's alignment is another topic of fascination, puzzlement, and intense debate among scholars and enthusiasts alike. The tunnel, along with other significant structures on the Giza Plateau, aligns with the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. Such alignment might not seem out of the ordinary until we consider the degree of precision achieved by the ancient builders. North-south alignment in particular draws significant interest. This alignment, as observed in many Egyptian pyramids and other constructions, is seemingly done with an extraordinary level of accuracy that is hard to achieve even with modern tools. It is suggested that this alignment was achieved using the stars, as the North Star, Polaris, would have been a reliable reference point for the ancients. Moreover, the alignment of the shaft to these cardinal directions lends credibility to the theory that it was built with a cosmological purpose in mind. In ancient Egyptian belief, cardinal directions had a deep spiritual significance. North was considered the direction of the gods, the divine realm, and the celestial river, while south was associated with the land of the living. East and west, on the other hand, represented sunrise, life, and sunset, death, respectively. Some alternative theories go even further, suggesting that the alignment of the shaft is part of a larger pattern encompassing the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, and other structures, possibly forming a terrestrial map of the stars. This line of thought often aligns with the ancient astronaut hypothesis, where proponents argue for extraterrestrial influence in the design and construction of these ancient structures. While these speculations can be exciting and thought-provoking, it's important to note that none of them have been definitively proven. The alignment of the Osiris Shaft continues to be a topic of exploration and research, providing more questions than answers. The mystery of the Osiris Shaft deepens when we consider that its entrance was once sealed. This fact has raised eyebrows and stirred further speculation. Why, some ask, would archaeologists seal off such a fascinating structure? As always, there are several theories to consider, each with its own implications. The first explanation might be the simplest: preservation. Archaeological sites around the world, particularly those as significant as the Giza Plateau, are frequently sealed to protect them from the ravages of time, environmental factors, and human interference. By limiting access, archaeologists can ensure these important sites remain intact for future generations to study and appreciate. Second reason might be safety. The Osiris Shaft is not just an underground structure. It's a deep 3-level vertical tunnel. Without proper equipment and preparation, it could pose significant risks to inexperienced or unauthorized individuals who might attempt to explore it. A third perspective leans towards the more conspiratorial. Some argue that the sealing off of the Osiris Shaft could be an attempt to hide something. This theory often dovetails with the idea of a vast underground network of tunnels and chambers yet to be fully discovered or disclosed. The idea here is that sealing the shaft could serve to limit public awareness or scrutiny. Regardless of the true reason, the sealing of the Osiris Shaft adds yet another layer of intrigue to this ancient enigma. Whether it's about preservation, safety, or potentially concealing the secrets of a lost civilization, we may never know. But one thing's for certain, the Osiris Shaft locked away beneath the Sphinx and the Giza Plateau continues to captivate our collective curiosity. As much as the allure of ancient mysteries and conspiracy theories tend to fuel our collective imagination, it's also important to consider the views of skeptics. The skeptic's perspective is rooted in the principle of Occam's razor. The simplest explanation, that requires the fewest assumptions, is usually the correct one. In the context of the Osiris Shaft and its alignment, skeptics offer a less sensational perspective. Skeptics would argue that the precision of the north-south alignment, while impressive, isn't necessarily evidence of a grand cosmic design or extraterrestrial influence. It's worth noting that the ancient Egyptians had a deep understanding of astronomy and used it routinely in their architectural planning. They had the means and knowledge to achieve a high degree of precision in their alignments. Furthermore, the idea that the shaft was part of a sophisticated system of tunnels under the Giza Plateau, some believe, could be an overinterpretation of what may simply be a series of ancient tombs, as they are traditionally understood. Critics of more outlandish theories often point out that proponents frequently neglect to provide satisfactory explanations for how these theories fit within the broader context of ancient Egyptian culture and practices. The skeptic's perspective does not discount the marvel of the Osiris Shaft. Instead, it emphasizes that understanding the true significance of such structures is often more complicated and nuanced than it might initially seem. The extraordinary aspects of the Osiris Shaft can still be appreciated without attributing them to alien architects or lost civilizations. In fact, doing so allows us to more fully appreciate the remarkable capabilities of our ancient human ancestors. And so we find ourselves at the end of this labyrinth of theories, facts, and speculations. The Osiris Shaft, in all its mystique and grandeur, continues to provoke questions that keep us on the edge of our seats, from intriguing construction mysteries, conspiratorial ideas of a lost civilization to the very rationale behind sealing this ancient marvel. The Osiris Shaft reminds us that history isn't just a finished book. It's an ongoing narrative, ripe with puzzles left unsolved, ripe with stories yet to be told.
Deep in the desert sands of Abydos, approximately 350 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza, stands the Osirion, a monumental structure shrouded in mystery. Its origins, purpose, and design have baffled archaeologists and researchers for decades. Unlike the well-known temples of ancient Egypt, the Osirion defies traditional pharaonic architectural norms, leading some to believe it could be the product of a much older, technologically advanced civilization. Could this ancient structure hold the key to a forgotten chapter of human history? The first puzzle presented by the Osirion lies in its striking architectural divergence from typical Egyptian temples. While most temples of the pharaonic era adhere to a linear rectangular layout, the Osirion's design breaks the mold with its unique L-shaped configuration. This anomaly alone raises critical questions about the intentions behind its construction. Was it built for a different purpose than Egypt's standard religious edifices? Or does it reflect the architectural style of an unknown, perhaps much older culture? Adding to the mystery is the Osirion's relationship with the nearby temple of Seti Prayus, built during the 19th dynasty. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Osirion predates the temple of Seti Ras by centuries, if not millennia, implying that the site held significant importance long before the reign of Seti. This ancient structure was already in place when Seti chose to build his temple beside it, as though honoring an ancient relic from a bygone era. What made the Osirion so significant, and why did it attract the attention of the Egyptian kings? The sheer scale of the Osirion is awe-inspiring. The core of the structure is composed of massive rose granite blocks, some of which weigh an astonishing 100 tons. These immense stones were quarried from Aswan, located over 200 miles to the south, a logistical challenge that seems insurmountable given the tools and technology traditionally attributed to the Egyptians of the time. Moving these massive blocks across hundreds of miles of desert, and then precisely positioning them in a desert location far from the Nile, is a feat that defies explanation. Without evidence of advanced machinery, how were these massive stones transported and assembled with such precision? The Osirion's architecture, featuring a sophisticated double-layered roofing system and interlocking wedges, suggests a level of engineering knowledge far beyond what ancient Egypt is known to have possessed. The use of granite, a hard and unforgiving material, only adds to the mystery. Working with granite requires advanced tools and knowledge, skills that, according to historical records, the Egyptians had not yet developed during the early dynastic periods. Another striking feature of the Osirian is its complete lack of Egyptian hieroglyphs or artwork. In contrast to nearly every other Egyptian temple or monument, which are richly decorated with carvings, inscriptions, and illustrations, the Osirian is eerily bare. Throughout Egypt's history, temples were frequently renovated, with each generation adding new inscriptions and artwork. Even more unusual is the Osirian's subterranean layout, which is highly uncharacteristic of Egyptian temple architecture. The entire structure lies 15 feet below ground level, leading some researchers to propose that the temple could be far older than its surrounding counterparts. The idea that it predates the buildup of sand and soil that has accumulated over millennia suggests a timeline stretching back to an era before the sands of Egypt's desert even existed in their current form. Water erosion patterns found on the limestone enclosure surrounding the Osirian add yet another layer to the mystery. Some researchers argue that these erosion marks could only have been caused by a much wetter climate, possibly dating the structure back to the end of the last ice age, when the region experienced more rainfall. If true, this would place the Osirian's construction over 10,000 years ago, far earlier than the dynastic Egyptian civilization. Perhaps the most intriguing feature of the Osirian is the presence of water within the structure itself. Modern seismic technology has revealed that the visible portion of the Osirian is only the uppermost part of a much larger complex, which extends at least 50 feet below the current floor level. Beneath the surface, seismic tests have indicated the presence of hollow chambers, which have yet to be explored due to the water that continually fills the site. Despite multiple attempts, archaeologists have been unable to drain the water, which seems to replenish at an alarming rate. The source of this water remains unknown, and its continuous flow presents a baffling enigma. Some researchers suggest that the Osirian's complex hydraulic system, which includes channels, basins, and possibly sluices, was designed to control and manipulate water flow within the structure. The precision of these features points to an advanced understanding of hydraulic engineering, something not typically associated with ancient Egyptian technology. While the Egyptians were known for their use of irrigation canals and basins for agriculture, the Osirian's water management techniques are far more sophisticated. The mysteries of the Osirian continue to deepen as researchers attempt to unlock its secrets. The constant replenishment of water within the structure defies explanation. James Westerman, a renowned archaeologist and historian, has spent decades studying the Osirian. His efforts to pump out the water from the structure have been met with frustration. Even with a pump capable of removing 500 gallons of water per minute, the water level continues to rise, seemingly replenishing itself faster than it can be removed. Westerman's words capture the perplexity of the situation. Water is emerging from inside the structure. This shouldn't be happening, especially in the desert. Something strange is going on here. In 2023, Westerman's team employed advanced technology to analyze the water within the Osirian, measuring its pressure, temperature, conductivity, and chemical composition. The results were astounding. The water in the Osirian was found to have a unique chemical profile, different from the surrounding wells and aquifers in the area. Westerman's research suggested that the water was being forced up through the structure, almost as though it were being propelled by some unknown force. The water's chemical composition and isotopic profile indicated that it did not originate from the nearby Nile River or local aquifers. Where, then, is this water coming from? The Osirian's water behaves more like that of a geyser, but without the typical signs of volcanic activity. Is there an underground spring or reservoir beneath the structure, or could the water be flowing from a deeper, as yet undiscovered source? One of the most intriguing aspects of the water is its unique properties. Westermann conducted hydrologic studies and found that the water within the Osirian was drinkable after filtration. Over time, Westermann began drinking the water regularly, and he noticed something extraordinary. His eyesight began to improve. A lifelong sufferer of nearsightedness, Westermann eventually no longer needed glasses, a fact that was confirmed by an eye test. Could the water from the Osirian possess healing properties? Westermann believes so and continues to drink the water, attributing his improved vision to its mysterious qualities. Yet another anomaly is the temperature of the water. The water outside the Osirian measures a consistent 16.9 degrees Celsius, but the water inside the structure is significantly warmer, measuring 23.8 degrees Celsius. This temperature difference defies the second law of thermodynamics, which states that heat cannot spontaneously transfer from a cooler to a warmer body. Something within the Osirian is heating the water, but no one knows what it is or how it is happening. As researchers continue to study the Osirian, its true scale and purpose remain elusive. What is visible today may only be the tip of the iceberg. The structure extends far beneath the surface, with hidden chambers still unexplored due to the constant flow of water. Could these underground chambers hold more secrets about the origins of the Osirian and its builders? As we probe deeper into the Osirian's mysteries, we are left with more questions than answers. One thing is certain: this ancient structure is far older and more complex than we ever imagined, and it may hold the key to understanding a lost chapter of human history.